So good afternoon, guys. My name is Gemma Rodriguez. My topic for today is animal testing, and my claim is that animal testing is not effective. Some of the secondary claims I'm going to be using to support my claim is animal testing takes advantage of animals. Results of animal tests are not accurate, and animal testing is wasteful. So some statistics to start off. My presentation is 26 million animals are used for scientific and commercial testing every year, and that's in the United States, and this is according to Animal Testing Pro.con.org. And this is everything from like vaccines to deodorants to lotions, cosmetics, lip products. And 95% of the 26 million animals used are not protected by the Federal Animal Welfare Act. So that includes animals like birds, rats, and reptiles. So moving on to my first claim, animal testing takes advantage of animals. According to the Humane Society, international animals used for testing are force-fed, deprived of food and water. They're also confined to cages. They're purposely inflicted with burns and wounds to just study the healing process. Animals also cognitively feel pain and emotion. So there is a quote by an English philosopher by the name of Jeremy Bentham once wrote that the question is not if they can reason or if they can talk, but if they can suffer. And just as we feel pain and suffering, animals do that as well. And when they're confined to these cages, they start to develop neurotic types of behavior. So they start biting themselves, spinning in circles, pretty much just going crazy. So results of animal tests are not accurate. According to Animal Testing Pro.con.org, 94% of drugs that pass animal tests fail in human clinical trials. So that's 95%, so only that 5% are successful. For example, 85 HIV vaccines have failed in humans after working on non-human subjects, and those non-human subjects would be animals. So all results of these tests are negative to animals. The majority of animals used for testing end up dying. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reports that in 2010, 97,123 animals suffered pain during experiments and were not given any anesthetics for pain relief. So that would be 1,395 primates, 5,996 rabbits, 33,652 guinea pigs, and 48,015 hamsters. So animal testing is wasteful. It costs a lot of money, and the results aren't like I said earlier, 95% of the time they fail. So to test on animals, it costs $32,000 versus in vitro alternative, and that's another way to test products not using animals, which costs $11,000. So like I said, alternatives to animal testing are being developed. In vitro human skin equivalence was created to directly mimic all the characteristics of human skin. So a way consumers can help reduce and eliminate animal testing is by supporting companies who take a social responsibility and abstain from animal testing. So after hearing this today, I hope that when you're out shopping, you take a look at these things. Most of the bottles of the products that you buy will state if they test on animals or not. So, yeah, that concludes my speech.
Thank you. Was there a binder clip?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Almost all.
Yeah, I'm not thinking you're stealing the binder clip, I just need it. If you want, I can give you one. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I gotta get new cards, these are getting a little crummy.
Everyone's like, "Are you gonna buy that?"
Yeah, this one, it's like it's falling apart by itself. It's gonna disintegrate. Thank you. All right, Gemma, proposition starts off, animal testing is not effective. So we got that negative terminology in there right away. That's not a good thing to do. You did preview the contents pretty well. I thought that was reasonable. So you're in good shape there. I think you need to give us a little bit more about the controversy, because sometimes it just comes down to issues of value, and that's a little bit problematic. The one argument that's most effective for you is the argument about whether or not we're getting something from doing the animal testing. That's the claim of fact that I think you need to develop a lot more information on. That's the issue on this particular point. All the stuff about how the animals are tested on and disputed, and all the things that happen to them, the reason that you're making those arguments are primarily for the issue that's unfair. When you're quoting Jeremy Bentham, you're quoting a philosopher and making a value argument on that particular point. The question isn't whether or not they reason, it's whether or not they suffer. Okay, well then, is that the same question for every animal that we utilize in a variety of other ways? I mean, you're equivocating any suffering as being wrong, and so if we are doing it for the purpose of eating, that's wrong. I think you would run into issues with the value argument here, and it's not supposed to be a value claim, so that stuff needs to be out of the speech for the most part. Like I said, the argument about whether or not it's effective, I think you've got a good piece of information here talking about how we have not been able to find effective treatments. And you've got the example of HIV vaccines that haven't worked. We've got 85 failures, even though they seem to have worked in animals. So then now the question becomes, did we get anything from learning that process? Did we understand anything? Your argument is that they're failures because we didn't come up with a vaccine. I'm not sure that that's the way researchers would look at it. And that's going to be where the dispute is going to be. And that's why I said that you need to be focusing on that point a little bit more. Most of the time you're giving us reasonable sources. I do want to be careful. A lot of people are going to run into this when you're doing research. You're going to run into aggregate sites like procon.org or Debatopedia or places like that. Those are, like I said, they are inventory sites. They collect information and ideas, and they present those information and ideas in a way that makes it easy for you to kind of get a grasp of what the subject is, but they are not primary sources, and you want to avoid citing them for the most part. Most of the time they'll give you a source citation. They'll tell you where the information comes from in the footnote. You need to go to the original sources for that information so that you're more consistent on that. All right. And then right at the end, you kind of switch to a little bit of a policy argument that we should all just be looking at the products that we buy as a way to avoid this sort of thing. And I go, that's not really. So you're getting off track again. Like I said, I think you've got a good argument there that focuses on whether or not there's some value or some practical outcome of using animals in doing research. That's what you need to develop for your argument. All right, thank you all very much. I appreciate